HPIE 3.0 to discuss the biggest trends in the diagnostic sector. Please welcome our set of expert speakers. Please put your hands together and welcome on stage Dr. Ravi Gaur, founder and director, Dr. G. Path Lab, who will be moderating this discussion. So a round of applause for Dr. Ravi Gaur. Let's welcome our other speakers in this discussion. Dr. Rajeev Gautam, Corporate Officer, HORIBA Limited, Japan President, HORIBA India. A round of applause for Dr. Rajeev Gautam. Let's also welcome Dr. Aakar Kapoor, Founder and Partner, City Imaging and Clinical Lab, CEO, CityRx and Scan Clinic. Please welcome Mr. Manish Mishra, CEO, Labaid Hospitals. Please welcome Dr. Neeraj Jain, Founder President, MELAP, NABL and NABH Assessor. And please welcome Mr. Abhinav Thakur, Managing Director, Accurex.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I think you had a nice lunch, and I think post-lunch is always like diagnostic session, because that's how diagnostic guys work. Because I'm a pathologist myself, and when samples come in the morning hours, pre-lunch hours, processing happens during the 12 to 3, and after that, diagnostic reporting starts. I think that's why probably the organizers have scheduled this session, and I look forward for the interesting discussion. Firstly, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to talk about what's happening in diagnostics and the event HPIE, because hospital infrastructure. It's diagnostic getting an importance into hospital infrastructure that itself says that what kind of a role diagnostic is going to play today and what role it's playing and what could the future to be. It's my pleasure to, I think, have a quick introduction probably of my co-panelist. We are missing out Dr. Arvind Lal. Unfortunately, he's not here because of some pre-scheduled assignments. With me, I have Abhinav Thakur. He's the MD for Accurex, and probably I'm sure you hear him as he moves forward. I have Dr. Rajeev Gautam. Rajeev is a very versatile figure, and I think all of us know him. Probably I must have seen him, heard him, and of course seen what he's doing. He's the president of HORIBA, and of course corporate officer from Japan. They're doing wonderful work in diagnostics. Along with that, I have Dr. Aakar Kapoor. Aakar is a new emerging diagnostics. He is actually almost a distinguished radiologist and probably founder director of CT X-ray and imaging, and probably taking his parental legacy forward and building up a new radiologies and new kind of synergies of the future diagnostics. Also, I have with me Manish Mishra. Manish is an old colleague of mine. Thank you, Manish, for being here. He's come all the way from Bangladesh, and he is a versatile figure probably from all aspects of things he's seen of the diagnostics, from whether sales, operations, managing together, putting together. Thank you, Manish. He's the CEO at the moment, Labaid in Bangladesh. Me, I have Dr. Neeraj Jain. I think he doesn't need introduction. Anybody who deals with diagnostics, I think we bow to him, and he has, he's been almost a mentor, teacher for almost all of us. He's a man of quality, and he talks about ethics and, great man, probably. You'll hear from him. Thank you so much for being here, sir. I like to start before, because we're already on the much behind the schedules. The first thing probably I like to say that today is, what we say, one thing we realized post-COVID, the diagnostics has come to central stage. Earlier, it was all around. Today, now people at the time of COVID, they used to come to the lab first, get the test done, and they go back to the doctor. This is my report, now what do I do? That was something, and that's made us the central point of thing, whether it's pathology, radiology, for that matter. People are now coming back to us. So focus is back to the diagnostics. We are now the pilot driving entire. So they say, the man of science is blind without diagnostics. Today, that's actually a reality. Because if physicians probably were working on differential diagnosis based on clinical, but I think with diagnostic, they were hitting into the blind spot. But we are providing them the insight. And with this, the new technology which is coming up, probably we are talking today on the session on a trilogy of, you can say, the AI, artificial intelligence, talking about genomics, and corporate chain of labs, because that means availability of labs of uniform standard across. I think this is something which is now changing the landscape of diagnostic. An example, like, we talk about, say, AI and, putting genomics together, or maybe the chain of labs together. I think all of you must be aware, maybe, and in fact, that's already happening in the world. People have now developed something called smart toilets. Now, these smart toilets, all they have, you get up in the morning, rush to the washroom, and by the time you come out, sometime you find an ambulance standing at your door. Because your body fluids, whether they take out sugar, maybe blood, they can actually detect a lot of things, and probably by AI, they're integrated, and they're linked into your genomics, probably. A hint can come, because, okay, if my personality is hypersensitive personality or family trait, whatever it is, blood in stool, maybe because of the peptic ulcer or some ulcer. It could be because of the polyp, it could be because of the cancer, depending on. So everything is getting integrated. Now AI is giving that point of care testing out here, genomic information, and the nearest lab, which are integrated. Immediately somebody comes to a center or hospital. That's an integration playing role, and that's directly happening. Big research has been done in Stanford University in US, and they have come out with smart toilets. There are almost like 1,500 such toilets being used in that place in the research study, and giving a good result. So with this, I think I'll probably not take much of time. We want to hear from various distinguished speakers here. So first and foremost thing, what is AI, basically? AI is technologies, evolution diagnostic by augmenting the speed and accuracy. That's one thing I have to say. More we hear as we move forward. Then algorithms are coming out. Then we talk about integration, I've already talked about. Integration means leading to a precision medicine or a personalized medicine. In fact, precision is more accurate today as we move forward. And we're talking, all of you must have heard something called targeted medicine, target therapy, which is now happening. That's another area we will be talking about. Then we have, of course, the advantage of corporate chains. These are probably of standalone labs. I think we have Rajeev Kapoor sitting here, probably started, some conventional back, one standalone center. He can take us through a journey, how these chains of labs have helped in quality, standardization, delivering service of similar quality. So maybe this is always a plus, this is a negative, but I think corporate chains have started playing, or chain of labs, not even corporate, individuals can have 5 labs, 6 labs, whatever it is, they're getting together. We'll hear more on that. So my first question, I think I'd like to Dr. Rajeev Gautam. My first question, because you are, I think, the main behind, you are providing the technology, you're providing instruments, you are basically a technology person by yourself, and connecting with the lab and globally also. So considering the rapid evolution of technology, how do you envision the future landscape looking into the trilogy, AI, genomics, and corporate labs? Dr. Rajeev, please.
Thanks, Professor Gaur. 3 things. First is artificial intelligence. And let me tell you, it's a buzzword today. Anyway, you go to Google or something, you say AI, everything. And I'm telling you, maybe warning this group, it is coming much faster than we all are thinking. It will touch all the space of our life, especially coming to the diagnostics, okay. It makes life easier, better diagnosis. For HORIBA, we are basically hematology company, but we have a product which is distance digital morphology we can do, that's the AI. We can connect to all the things. And you need not a pathologist there, but you can deport a product from the reports from there, and you can do it. Second is the genomics. I think you talked about genomics. It is the NGS. NGS, next 10 years, will change the world of diagnostics, especially the IVD. Okay, it will not be. In vivo diagnostics will be still be the same. But NGS, the way is coming, they will detect mutations. They can tell you the diagnosis. Before that, you can go for a newborn, can get you the whole life situations. It is coming much faster than what we can think of. Coming to the corporate diagnostic chain, I have 2 points for diagnostic chain. One is the wellness market was not there before corporate chains. It was only once the doctor writes something, you go to the lab and get it done. But the corporate chains has started a new trend, which is wellness. And everybody is getting into the diagnostics tests for the wellness. And the second is the home testing. It was not there before, but maybe because of the business and everything, they have made it possible. It's become easier for the elderly people, for the other things. You can just order it, somebody get sample and this thing. It has increased, I think, the sphere of the patients or diagnostics and everything. So that's the biggest, I think, biggest contribution by the lab chains, corporate lab chains in the IVD industry.
Well, there are three important things. You talked about digital pathology. I'm sure all of you must be aware that's the technology which is in now. And I think it's integrating. What we're doing is today, histopathology slides have been uploaded in scanners. They go in the cloud, and wherever the pathologists are, maybe you have a lab A in Chennai, lab 2 in Bangladesh, lab 3 in US, maybe 4, I think they can all look at one point of time. And then probably they can report together. That's the advantage of the technology today, integrating. Even system can tell you, okay, you have missed out this part. AI is probably give you a protocol. You are reported, but I think you missed out 2 more points. Please have a look. I think that's something very good area coming.
We have that instruments and we are using for hematology.
That's wonderful. That's what I'm thinking. That's something which is already in now.
More than 100 installations we have across the country.
Wonderful. I think that's a learning. I think I'd like to come back to you once we're over. Let's see how we can work out. And I think wellness, I think an area which he's talked about, preventive health checkup. I think that's the area it's really grown up. If you look at the percentage from the diagnostic, I think pre-COVID we had 6 to 7% people. Our entire diagnostic business was only preventive. Today it's almost touching 20%. I think the credit goes to the awareness, besides that the technology putting together. And corporate chains probably have a reminder, okay, you can, and the standardization, that's another issue we have, advantage we have. Now, I think I'll come back to this again, Rajeev, thank you so much. I move on, Dr. Neeraj, please. So, then when we have so much integration happening today, what ethical consideration to take into account when incorporating into AI to genomics for diagnostic? But ethics matter a lot today because a lot of privacy, security things are there. And is there a challenge difference between a corporate lab versus standalone lab? Because corporate have a chain. Your views, please.
First of all, I would like to say this is a very thoughtful decision this Mr. Afzal has taken to conduct this session, because this is a very important and useful session. Ethical considerations are very important. Whatever is the context, whatever thing you are talking about, ethics is of prime importance. In our diagnostic also. See, what all are required when we are using artificial intelligence in our laboratory, whether we are following something or we are developing something. And important, first of all, I would like to say, sometimes we feel our natural intelligence is using this artificial intelligence. And actually speaking, artificial intelligence is using our natural intelligence, and sometimes we search for everything on Google, and we have started losing our ability to think, our intuition ability. In this, whether we are developing, when we are developing something, artificial intelligence, in this genomics diagnostics or any other diagnostics, one thing is accountability. Whether we are developer, whether we are service provider, whether we are service user as a clinician or as a patient or as a regulatory body, everybody has to think, person should have accountability, how they are developing this artificial intelligence algorithms. Another thing is we have to see bias. Sometimes what happens, when we are developing data in one continent and we are applying that data in another continent, so there may be some bias. So we have to eliminate that bias. And another thing is, this applies to all testing, not only artificial intelligence. Consent is very important. When we are developing something, we have to perform some studies. Consent is very important, and patients should be explained how their data will be used, how the confidentiality of their identity will be maintained, and explainability, how this artificial intelligence is analyzing data to reach to a conclusion. This user shall understand this is how they are reaching to a conclusion, so that they can trust on that. And there is a difference between corporate and standalone laboratory. See, what is the meaning of corporate? Generally, we say they have different, multiple laboratories, maybe all across the globe, maybe all across the country, all across the continent, or in the same city, different locations. These corporate chains, they have different challenges. They are generating data at multiple locations. If they are compiling that data, so how they are compiling, or if they are reaching to a conclusion independently, so again there is an issue of bias. But they have more resources, they have more people with required intelligence to work on that data. Standalone laboratory, they have certain challenges. They don't have that much resources. Sometimes what they do, they collaborate with each other. Okay, we 4, 5, 6 laboratories, we will generate data independently and then we will compile that data. Then they have to see how the privacy of the data is maintained, and again, what is the algorithm they are developing. This is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Neeraj. I think very important point he touched, I think, is on consent. Because I think beside anything for that matter, if you're taking any data which is being used in AI or anywhere, I think consent is something which should be taking into cognizance. I think without that, I think that is really ruling out ethics. That's we're compromising with ethics. And that's very important. And second important point you talked about was geographic diversity. Because I think anything which we are applying today, maybe the AI has been developed in Japan, it could be developed in Scotland, it could be developed in Iceland, and we are applying in some remotes of Mizoram. Will it work? I think it's very important to have this validation, geographic point in consideration, the diversity. And I think I am basically an oncopathologist, and I have been privileged to run some very oncology, pathology labs in the past. We have seen the genomics, diversity in North, East, West, Central India. There's a diversity in response, there's diversity in the culture, how do we eat, the gut biome. There is so much of diversity together. I think that's a point which always be taken. So it's not like straight away we get something here, apply, probably do a validation, move forward, and of course without consent. And that's a good point, Neeraj. Thank you so much for pointing out that. Now with this, I think, information, a very interesting thing we didn't talk about to Manish actually. Manish, my question, because when we all go, I've been wondering for some time, because when we all go to probably a pizza shop, we ask, they put a little bit of pepper, little of red pepper, white pepper, green chili. We customize our pizza. Same thing when you go for the ice cream at night after all thing. Nobody wants one vanilla brick, 10 different flavors. Now my thing is, when we come to B complex, we take a capsule or Zivit and eat it like this. Why not? I think, why can't it be customized? That's something probably I'd like to hear from Manish. My question to you is, how can synergy between AI, genomics, and the various labs contribute to personalized medicine, and what are the potential benefits of patient? I think that's something probably you can explain to us.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. I think very interesting topics. And before we look for synergy, we need to connect the dots. I was in a pharma conference last week, and they say and they claim that 20 years from down the line or 30 years down the line, the critical illness will be all about personalized medicine. It's about precision medicine. Precision is a technical word they have given, but it's a personalized medicine. Now, they also say the research, if you see 2018 Nobel Prize, 2020 Nobel Prize, is also going towards something which is personalized. For example, CRISPR. The CRISPR coming as a technology in diagnostic which Tata has started, or in research, in my earlier companies we used to go for the patent and all, is all about you and your gene. Maybe McDonald's says every burger will be same, but genes are different. Your requirement of gene are little mutation. Mutation means from one pair, something get cut and get attached to something else, is different. And therefore, this CRISPR technology has come, which is nothing but gene knock-in and knock-out, where whatever mutation has happened, through a scientific way of, is like using a scissor, scientific scissor, and trying to bring the gene back. The second is CAR-T. The CAR-T also got a Nobel Prize. Why I'm telling all this is the research worldwide is moving towards personalized medicine. I, Manish Mishra, cannot have same medicine what maybe Neeraj Jain require, because our genetic configuration itself is different. So that's the point number one. Now, how I'm going to give personalized medicine unless I know your genetic configuration, what kind of gene you hold, and therefore genetic testing become critical. So the first side, other side is the research which is happening. So 30 years down the line, you see the trend. Dr. Reddy is spending more money now on Origin, or Biocon is making Syngene as bigger because they say everything will be biology. In fact, they made a loud statement that chemistry will be taken over by biology, at least in the critical side. So testing has to support. At least COVID has given one thing very clear to this country or to the world is the testing comes before the treatment. Now, they are going for that. Therefore, the population, those who are going for those illness treatment, should know their genetic configuration, what kind of genes they hold. And therefore, genetic testing become critical. Now, whenever genes come, there's a trillions of data which is available. Trillions of data. You can evaluate. I remember because I started career from commercializing genetic testing in infectious disease and going to a senior most doctor in almost all these cities, including AIMS, and they're saying, why to use genetic testing? What is the use? Because it's costly, very difficult for many senior doctors to interpret, and therefore it's like you have to explain them how to use that tool. And now, if you see every nook and corner, you find the PCR lab. So I feel like the genetic has become like something which you cannot avoid, and therefore data has become critical. Now, once the data comes, I think AI definition has been clearly defined properly. The AI is nothing but the data and the continuity of data. The continuity of data is machine learning, and the data is something which can give you the medical outcome. Many of the data, even if today there are a lot of markers which we do which predict about something. So if you see diagnostic from illness, it went to preventive, which we all have spoken, but it's now moving to predictive diagnostic. How you are going to predict the disease with the help of the genetic testing and the profiling which is available. A lot of companies are investing money for the genetic profiling of the population for what? To predict the future diseases. So if you see worldwide, the diagnostic, obviously the wellness is there to make sure that you don't come to the lab or a hospital when you fall ill, but at the same time, is there predictive diagnostic which is available, and it can be only happening with the help of the genetic testing. So when it comes to predictive testing and using the AI as a tool with the help of the data which you have, and on that data you are going to predict certain things. Even the marker, Dr. Gaur, you remember, even during the pregnancy we used to do certain tests in the first trimester, second trimester to really predict whether chromosomal abnormalities will be there or not. But now we have reached to a different level altogether, where we are talking about BRCA1, BRCA2, where the genetic breast cancer will move from mother to the daughter or not. And there are so many other things which is happening. So I feel like AI, as he said correctly, Rajeev, that it's a reality. The only, and obviously the ethic part has to come because data has to really make a medical outcome. So I feel if I connect everything, the pharma and the treatment is moving towards that. Genetic become critical. AI will play a role because genetics means a lot of data which you have to churn and come with a medical outcome, and predictive diagnostic which is also moving. So I think if you combine all together, it's something which is unavoidable. And if we put a formal template to the compliance which is required, I think something which is going to happen. Today, even if you take instruments, they come with a lot of AI things where they can predict many things, which manually it's not required. How much kit is available, we were selling even in thermo and all, even the freezer, the moment you take out the kit, they can generate the invoice in supply chain and all. So I think same thing is also coming in the diagnostics, prognosis and monitoring, especially when you look for the behavior of disease, which is prognosis, and especially when you are looking for something which you are going to predict, especially for the critical. So molecular oncology as a subject is, I think, I see a lot of synergy in all, because if you keep even the treatment part of it, there is synergy to that. So I believe, like what you're saying, there is a synergy between all three components, and the future treatment for any population worldwide It's like your own ID card, you take Aadhaar card everywhere. Similarly, you have to take your genetic card everywhere because you have to get treatment which is related to your gene. So there is a synergy, and corporate will play a major role because uh, the individual try to survive first, then looking for the future thing. The corporate look for future thing at the same time, and the fund always help them. So that's what I will do.
Thank you, Manish. I think,
Last point
yeah.
is, in radiology also, when we were launching high definition PET CT first time in Mumbai, nowadays I'm doing at least 3 clinical trial because normal if you take CT and MRI, and when we were launching PET CT, we used to say the lesion which is less than 2 mm is not being diagnosed with the other thing other than you have PET CT where you use the radioactive material. But there are many other things which is left out. Lung cancer, even multinational are investing. There's a lot of cancer because best diagnosis is early diagnosis. Now, early diagnosis can be only done with the help of AI, which is coming up in the radiology, where a software sit and they say what the diagnosis you have given with your help of your eyes and other things. The software can add a lot of value to it. So breast cancer, lung cancer, and other part, I think AI will again play a role. I'm so sorry.
No, no, no.
I want to conclude.
Thank you so much. I think for this very relevant point. In fact, what I might to add here is not only oncology. Today, in fact, this is also happening in the lifestyle disorders, like neurological disorder, dementia, and neurological, epileptic kind of a thing, drug combination also. What we say is today, we have talk about predictive, preventive, diagnostics, therapeutic, prognostic. I think that's all combination everywhere. In fact, a term called I normally use is from womb to tomb. The time, even pre-conceptualized till the time you are back into the grave, I think everywhere the diagnostic is playing a very, very important role, and that's where the integration. Important part is the corporate lab change, because if you standalone data, I think earlier one of the speakers also mentioned, standalone data is standalone. But I think when we have a lab change, data is of diverse nature, and that can actually be of big use. And rightly speaking, we just say 60% of people don't respond to metformin in diabetes. 40%, or 60% respond, people don't respond. Why? There has to be something more than what it is. And this is what we're talking about, personalized medicine. And all of you must have heard something called genome patri, for janam patri. We have probably prediction can happen from there. But of course, that all has to be taken together. It cannot be read in isolation. You have to put everything together and make our risk scores. And I think, thank you so much. I think we move on to the next speaker. With me, I have Abhinav. My question to you, actually. Because you are a man of, diagnostic manufacturer and, talking about point-of-care technology for that matter. So how is the integration of AI impacting the efficiency and accuracy of diagnostic process in pathology lab? Can you comment on that, please?
We are in a revolution right now with AI and not an evolution. So we have been in the diagnostic market for the last 39 years, serving over 6,000 customers in India. And over the years, we have seen that the technology has only evolved. So the machines have only become faster or they're using less reagent. But there's nothing completely revolutionized the industry. We are using the same glucose oxidase, glucose peroxidase technology, which has been more than 50 years old. But now there's going to be a big revolution I'm seeing with the help of AI, artificial intelligence. Working with so many customers over the years, we have realized that for customers, the two most important things in diagnostics is the turnaround time, how fast they can give the patient the report where the patient cannot wait. A sick patient needs the results immediately, and the accuracy of the report. Since 70% of therapy depends on diagnostics, the accuracy of the report is most important. And AI is helping in both these places. It is reducing the turnaround time, and it is improving the accuracy of the report. For example, there was a study published, a research paper published, which showed when they're using AI in cancer lymph node positive report detection, the error rate came down from 3.4 to 0.5. So that shows how the AI is completely revolutionizing and changing with the technology instead of just incremental changes. And another thing which Dr. Gore spoke about, point of care. Another thing where the revolution is going to happen is AI with point of care. As we are seeing already non-invasive IVDs coming in. So where you don't need a blood sample. And there are already these companies which are working with the algorithms. and working on non-invasive diagnostics. For example, there's a company based out of Mumbai itself. They're working on BioSense through Touch HB, which just takes an image of the eye, and it is working on giving you the hemoglobin results. Spectroscopy method, there's another company in India, EasyRx. Through spectroscopy method, non-invasively, they're working on giving you the bilirubin, glucose, and creatinine results. So this is more of the routine test. The specialized test will not go into the point of care, but the routine test which are used for screening, especially in India where we have a high anemic population, and we need more point of care non-invasive test to increase the speed. So the AI working with the algorithms in the background is something we'll see more of the point of care testing coming out, which is non-invasive in nature, which we have not seen in coming out in a very long time.
Thank you so much. I think one important point you mentioned here is I think we are heading towards probably an era where we talk about path cafes. You have a lot of point of care technologies. Just walk in, get your test done, and by the time your coffee reports are ready, they all integrate together. I think that's something, because hospitals are also like that now. Everybody wants report before they walk in. Probably it'll be very easy. I just walk in through a corridor, and by the time I enter the corridor, my reports are out there. I am sure future may be something like that, but that's too scary. Let's see. Okay, I'll come back to Dr. Aakar. I think now we have talked about pathology, we talk about radiology. That's a revolution happening right there. I think you can just probably, what are the important use of AI in radiology? And of course, AI has been established much before it came into pathology. So your experience and how you're using in practice, Dr. Aakar, please.
Thank you so much, HPIE 3.0, for having me here on this prestigious forum. So AI is considered as villain robots which are just, ready to take over the world. But I want to emphasize on the fact that AI, if used judiciously, will help save millions of lives and improve the quality healthcare across the globe. So in a diagnostic center chain like ours, where we have radiology, pathology, cardiology, neurology, as well as nuclear medicine, we have AI running through all the workflow processes as well, right from the time when the booking of the patient till the time the patient receives the reports. Talking about my department, which is radiology, we have been using AI since the past few years, for, highlighting in the time of COVID crisis, when there were hundreds and thousands of CTs happening daily, and the patient wanted reports within minutes. So we used tools which could reproduce these standardized reports, as well as tell accurately about the percentage of lung involvement and give CT severity score. So this at that time helped us in reducing the turnaround time, as well as it helped in speed fasting the treatment for the patients. We are also using AI in ultrasounds, where if we just put the probe on the abdomen of a pregnant female while performing these antenatal scans, the machines can automatically calculate these measurements. So this helps saving on time, and eventually the accuracy is increased. Along with these, inter-observer variations are also reduced. So we also use multiple tools in CT scans, like for example, there are lung nodules, and we want to characterize them as benign or malignant. So these tools accurately categorize and classify them as so. And patients also, avoid the risk of these invasive testing, which are the FNACs and biopsies. But of course, I want to emphasize that there is something that they will replace the radiologist or the healthcare workers, which is surely not the case. The radiologists play a very important role here, that they have to see a broader clinical overview, and they also communicate with the clinicians as well as with the patients. So it requires a lot of clarity and empathy to perform this task, which certainly cannot be done by AI. So this personalized touch, this knowledge is totally irreplaceable, and radiology with AI, talking about my domain, is the only way forward, and it has to be used judiciously.
Okay. Thank you, Aakar. I think highlighting a very important point. We all talk about AI replacement. No, I think, I probably say when you talk about AI, there's something called AI, what measures should be in place? How should the regulatory authorities be done? What is really happening on that front? Your view, please.
Perfectly. Two things, as my fellow colleague says that, okay, it is a AI, but human intervention will always be there. Human also has to be on top of the machine, not the machine has to be top of it. So ultimately, it has to be controlled by, AI has to be controlled by human, not by the AI has to be controlled by human. Coming back to the regulation, I think Department of Electronics is already thinking of a Digital India Act. They are already working on it. Maybe very soon they will come, and that's how they will regulate it. I don't know how in India, Parliament and all that thing, but definitely they are working. I need to talk to somebody. Okay. And very important from these regulations is important from the data privacy. As you can get everything, data, genetics, with a one drop of blood, but what's the privacy of this? Okay. Everybody has is a right of a privacy. And the validity, as you talk about it, okay, whatever you do it, what you're doing in US, what does in Euro, okay, everything has to be one. So validity and your privacy, ultimately, and it cannot be given autonomy. Autonomy still has to be given with a human. Ultimately, it should help, but it should not overdo the things we should take.
That's very said. I think ultimately, whatever we have, it should be within us, our control. I think that's the most important part. And I think from regulatory point of view, I think the technology, by the time, what we are seeing is, by the time you adopt a technology, new technology already come. But regulations change every 5 years. See, there's a lot of gap out there. I think it's had to be dynamism. Otherwise, probably we may not be able to use many technologies at some point of time which are useful, or maybe some unuseful will be in picture. I think that's a query today. That's an open-ended question. I think all of us should be aware of that. I come back to, Dr. Neeraj, I think from my question to you also is we have not short of time, so we just have 10 minutes, but I think we can wrap up fast. But I think your review very important to me is, what are the potential risks associated with the AI in genomic and data and diagnostics? And from the patient safety point of view, I think if you can narrate some examples, quote something.
See, as I said initially also, if data is not analyzed properly without eliminating the bias, then we may make some wrong conclusion which can affect the patient safety. And another thing is, if privacy is not maintained, and because these days what is happening, people are generating so much data, and many people, they are outsourcing their data to be stored by someone else. Yeah. If data is leaked from there, as you have seen in some areas where data is leaked, so this data may be misutilized. So we have to see privacy of the data also, this bias privacy of the data. And when we are developing something, if algorithm is not proper, then some wrong conclusion can be made. Because there are two things. Whenever a new technology is coming, like this artificial intelligence, then everyone will talk about artificial intelligence, this is something very good. Then people will start saying, no, this is not good. And then they will settle somewhere, it is good at this place, but not good at this place. Knowledge without proper conduct is of no use. But conduct without knowledge is very dangerous.
Yeah, I think very well said. I think very important point. I think, one important point you're talking about is failure, security, is all of you must have an IBM Watson. I think that's where, because the data kind of a thing, it was good, like 62 million, I believe, prescriptions failed and went wrong because of that, because the data was not really up. They probably just exponentially integrated it and made it into a kind of a big data and then started working on it. That's very important point, how to put that. Same thing, I think all of you, maybe Google has started something somewhere way back in 2007 and 8, reading your email, they still do that. But in that, they used to pick up, corporates, an organization, I am sick, I am not well, I have got this. A lot of people are applying for application for holiday or vacation. Suddenly they have declared in a corporate, oh, you got epidemic in this corporate. Because that's not right, because whatever data is something is a potential risk. And these are the challenges probably, in fact, they have to stop that application after that. But these are various risks. I think data is the most important. Of course, that matters. Before that, nothing else otherwise would work. Quick, Manish, I think just quick 1 minute for you. I think how you talk about oncology, I think it's preventive and wellness space. Do you feel that, what's the role of AI in preventive wellness? And of course, how do you integrate that with the genomics? Any specific viewpoint you have?
See, obviously, if you see many of the patient when it's coming, or the normal population, they don't want to go to any lab in a hospital. That's the ideal situation. And to avoid that, the best part is the preventive health checkup. Now, when you go through preventive health checkup, there are a lot of things which can come positive, so there are certain things which can come negative. There are certain things which is required even after doing that, because you have go for example, CBC. There are a lot of parameters into it, which may give you certain things for the future, which maybe, because preventive generally what happens is they go to the normal physician who can just tell them what it is, unless until it's very critical. There we found AI in two cases. I will tell you one, in the wellness department where the reports goes into a particular software and they predict certain things. And now if you see many of the corporate are also using predictive marker into their wellness annual checkups. Because if that is little high, there are chances that in future you will get this. For example, homocysteine has become a very, something which many of the pharmaceutical people want to use it because they want to avoid cardiac arrest in the future. So the AI is something which use the data, a proper machine learning to predict something in the future, and it's really working very well. In fact, many of the companies from the incubation of IITs are also coming, which they make the report a smart report, which is also being driven by the AI. So that's the point number one. Even without wellness, if you see, we have started using AI in the post-discharge cases, because we have using one of the software, again, it's a part of IIT. After discharge, the entire summary goes into a software, and then the AI tells you that, though it's written that after 6 months you require lipid profile. If you have gone for chemotherapy, after every 6 months you require a tumor marker to be done. Right. So what AI is telling is, in those scenarios, with us depending on the cycle, because generally human being, it's even the doctors I have seen, most of the people, they say, okay, every 6 months you do CA120 for the ovarian cancer. But the AI tool, what we are using for those is, they say, they see the cycle, they see the dosage, which are always sometimes different, and then they give a different schedule of the testing. So it's not only the wellness part, but it's also coming in the patient monitoring part, or maybe after chemotherapy or after surgery, which is becoming very critical and being used comprehensively.
Correct. I think that's something very, very important. I think that reminds me, if any of couple of you must be read from 5 years back, IBM patented a technology of delivering coffee to the various corporate bosses, wherever they are. Because, like either CEO or a CEO or a President Rajeev sitting here, or you want a coffee at a particular point of time, you're not here. So the drone used to bring the coffee right there, this is your time. But I think maybe something I wonder, if it's applied to a person who's diabetic, and you're wearing some, you have insulin shot, you've forgotten about insulin, probably drone gives you a tuck, an insulin shot is here. And God save you, if you're not, somebody else is carrying a mobile. The shot will be to that guy, not to you. I think these are the advantage and disadvantage I think we need to work on. I think future is very bright. A quick, Abhinav, anything you would like to talk about, 2 minutes? Because that's important is like, how do we implement these? Because, very expert AI, because collaboration, something, any views on that?
So there is going to be great synergy in the implementation part when there's collaboration between the pathology labs, the AI company, and genomics. They all three have to collaborate together, because in the end, this is healthcare. And the users are going to play a very important role, because we are dealing with life in the end. So the pathology labs or the corporate chain labs have to cooperate with the AI companies together. And together, they have to come out with innovation. So it is extremely important they all work together. And as you can see from the research reports, the error rates are coming down. So we can end up saving lives if all the three stakeholders come together and work together.
Okay. Thank you. I think without collaboration, I think all of us have to, because a lot of data are lying here, and there. I think all of us, whether it's regulator or academic people or research people or private lab or chain of lab, providers, manufacturers, and all academic, I think unless it's put on a similar platform, we will never be able to generate what we're looking for. Aakar, I think one important last question to you, and I think to the panel, I am very keen to know, actually, Because we have seen radiology chains coming up, a pathology chain coming up, many few radiology chains. What do you see in the future? What are the challenges? In brief 2 minutes, if you can narrate about, are you looking for that or it's not possible?
So radiology is a totally different ball game. It requires huge investment, which is huge initial cost of procuring a machine, as compared to a laboratory where there is reagent rental. There is a huge infrastructure cost, which is not required if you open a small satellite center near a patient's house. And also there is continuous maintenance, CMCs, the AMCs, the maintenance cost is very high. To talk about also, there is high power consumption of these machines as well as the depreciation. And these healthcare personnel also come at a very high cost. So radiology is totally different from pathology. So I do feel that AI does sort of increase the turnaround time, standardize things, and also reduce the cost to a certain level. But playing radiology as a profession and open multiple centers is very difficult because there are geographical limitations. One cannot open multiple such centers near the patient's house. The patients do have to reach such centers. It's very capital intensive. So, and another point is that patients can avail the service of laboratory at home, which is a phlebotomist can visit the patient's house, withdraw a sample, and a patient can get the report online, which is not the case in radiology. Of course, some people have started radiology at home, which only includes ECG or X-ray, but for an ultrasound, CT, or an MR, such services cannot be availed at home. So I do feel that I still think that the big corporate chains would prefer to stay out of radiology as would continue playing radiology, pathology.
I think, yes, that's a heavy infrastructure cost, capex cost. I think a lot of other things here there. But one thing probably I'm sure that other innovation is happening. We are talking about handheld ultrasound equipments. We're talking about, small, I've seen a small equipment, like for an X-ray knee joint, probably a trauma, a portable X-ray, which is like this much of an instrument. You can take it and put it, at least a hairline fracture can be detected. It's going to take a long time, but I'm sure, I think we don't know the future. But as of now, it appears that it's not going to be. With this, I think I like to finish. Lastly, before I sum up, what to say is like, future has to be what we're talking about. AI, we're talking about genomics, we're talking about corporate lab chains, because, the raiment shop still exists. You have to go and get your coat tailorized made. Otherwise, this is what I've learned. Even when the malls came, brands came, they have a shirt, XL, large, but after that now they have sleeve size, collar size, waist size, slim size. All this has come back. I think we are looking for a very interesting era and a future ahead. So in the grand, I'd like to get a quote somebody, the grand symphony of progress, AI, genomics, labs, they're all dancing together. A trio building a future. It's so fantastic. Even Dr. Science is noting this fiction. They don't know what's going to happen. And we are looking for the best. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Looking forward. Good future for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this very interesting discussion. And if there are questions, I would request all of you to please direct them to the speakers. We are running really behind time, so we'd like to wrap it up. I would like to invite on stage Afzal ji and Mr. Manish Mishra to please come on stage to present the mementos to our esteemed speakers who have done such a brilliant job on this very interesting discussion on diagnostics. So I would request you to please present our moderator, Dr. Ravi Gaur, with a memento and a plant. A memento and plant, please be readied for Mr. Abhinav Thakur, Managing Director, Accurex. A memento and plant for Dr. Rajeev Gautam of HORIBA, India. A gift for Dr. Aakar Kapoor, founder and partner, City Imaging and Clinical Labs. Gift for Dr. Manish Mishra, CEO, Labaid.
I wanted to be a doctor, but somehow.
And a gift for Dr. Neeraj Jain, founder, president, MELAP, NABL, and NABHSSR. I request all of you to please gather for a group photograph.